Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle video tutorial on Photoshop patterns. Now I'm using 221 here, but if you've got 2020 or 2019, etc., you can use offsets. But with the latest version, you've got pattern previews that are great for creating patterns using brush strokes. So I'm just going to go right back to a start document. So don't save, and also don't save that one as well, and file and new. Let's start from the beginning. Transparency, that's another thing I should have said before I did that. There, I always like to have transparent backgrounds. Up to, of course, you can have white backgrounds, etc. if you want to go with that, or custom, but I just go with generally transparent, so close that. Now, let's go to the brushes. Now, my brush tool, many of the brushes will not work with the pattern preview. So if you're using pattern preview, then you'll find that it will just pop up with an error. But I've customized my tools, so you can see edit toolbar. So I've got my brush up here. So let's just apply a brush stroke. Now you can set a vast number of different brushes, color drawing there, soft round, etc. And I'm just doing this as if I'm not using the latest versions. I'm just applying quick brush strokes here. And of course I can change the brush there. I can apply different brushes there. Oops, that's quite a big brush, so it's quite... Try and avoid the edges. That's the key thing. So you can apply designs like this, and I'm just going to change colour, of course. Whole loads of designs. But now if you want to fill this area, it's quite hard because you're getting very close to the edge. So what you can do, you can always go to filter and other, and this is for, let's say, earlier versions, offset, and you can then use that and you can change the offset, but wrap around is the key thing here. Click OK. And now you can continue to add your design, and it's still seamless. So you can just add all different sort of brush strokes, and again you can always go to offset again, change the colour, and it's still a seamless tile. Once you've done that, edit and define pattern. So that can be stored away as a pattern for future use. And you've got this transparency, so it can layer on top very easily without using blending modes. Well, you can use blending modes, of course, perfectly reasonable, as well as opacity, etc. However, now if you go to View, and this is with the latest version, you go Pattern Preview. Click OK. And you can see you've got seamless design because, of course, I created it avoiding those edges. Now it makes it so much easier just to simply apply the brush strokes. Now this brush, I think this is one of my graphic extras one. There's a whole heap of brushes on graphic extras which you can select there. But of course you can find millions of brushes on the web, so a whole range of different designs, and you can apply that. Now another handy panel I always think is window and brush settings. So you've got colour, brushes, they're just great to have your standard tools here. But now you can see straight away to simply go over the edge and it's all duplicated. You can also add outside, and that's just duplicated inside. So you can see it as I do that outside, it's duplicated over there, duplicated there, and so on and so on. So it's very, very easy to make patterns now. Simply edit and again define pattern. I've always felt that it should be when you're in this pattern preview. It makes no sense why there isn't just a simple button up the top. Just click define pattern. You'd think that that would be an obvious thing. Obviously, they didn't think that's an obvious feature, but I would have thought it's just a nice feature to add. So you can simply add all kinds of design, and of course you can apply it that way as well. Obviously, now there's certain things you can't use. You can't use the symmetry. Sadly, that will not be allowed. And I say smudge and all those sort of things. Art history, sadly, you can't use. You can also apply effects. However, you have to be careful for the edges. Some of the various tools will not touch the edge, so you've got no problem there. You just apply it and it's perfectly good. But if you're using a blur or something, it's going to be best just to use maybe a selection. Just go here to selection and then go to filter and say blur or something, Gaussian blur. And you can see that it's duplicated all over there, but you haven't destroyed this edge here. Now you've still got, of course, an edge there, which you can then tweak with the smudge thing. However, you can't use the smudge. So if you want to use various things, let's just deselect that. You can always go to View, and then you can Pattern Preview, turn it off, and then apply the smudge or whatever tool you can't use in Pattern Preview. So if I just go to smudge and this triangle tool gets out of the way, I really love that feature. It's such a very odd feature. There's the smudge tool, just looking for the smudge. And you can just quickly apply your smudge. Now I'm not going over the edge, obviously, of the image, the document. So you can apply that. So you can just smudge that. And of course, then what you can do, you can always go back to View, Pattern Preview, click OK, and then you've got that design. And it's still a seamless design, which you can then edit and go to Define Pattern, click OK. And once you've done that, just come out of View. I always quite often forget I'm in Pattern Preview, and then I start working with the pattern. What you can do, you can go to a layer, and you can go down to New Fill Layer. There's other places, of course, like Edit menu as well. For Pattern, click OK. Oh, that's one that I created earlier. There's the design I just created. You've got pattern there. You can scale it, so 25. So you can see your design there, and you can still move that around. But you can still see through the background. Click OK. And you can duplicate that as well. So Layer and Duplicate. So you go to Layers. That's Window and Layers there. You've got all the brush settings, etc. But you can then double click on that and tweak that. So maybe you think, you know what, I want it at 50 instead. And change the angle as well. And it will do it eventually. Yes. So you can see you can create all kinds of pattern designs using brush strokes. Well, I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Critter, and many, many others. Also, please add some comments. Anything I did wrong, anything I did right. Always nice to, maybe there's something I went maybe a bit too quick, or I just didn't explain it well enough. Please let me know in the comments. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you much.